Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. My name is Megan and today I have 10 spooky book recommendations for you. The first book in my recommendation for you is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. So Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is kind of set in a time loop and they relive the same day over and over and over. And it's to protect these children with weird, peculiar powers, and the images that the author found and used as inspiration for the story are just slightly creepy and kind of like that. They're just a little spooky. There's a lot of interesting things that go down in this book, but this is the main reason this is on here is because this is just slightly creepy and it's really good though. So the next book in my recommendation for you for a spooky read is Infinity. This is the first book in the Chronicles of Nick series, and if anybody's familiar with Sherilyn Kenyon's adult novels, this is the backstory of one of the characters in those books, and it's him as a kid growing up in New Orleans, and he finds out that he's this demon overlord, kind of, and he has to learn how to use his powers, and there's all sorts of weird creatures and people. So there's demons, vampires, zombies, redneck zombie hunters, that's always fun. There's gods and death, death as in the Grim Reaper, witches, and all sorts of weird, creepy characters in this book, and this is absolutely one of my favorites. So the next book in my spooky recommendation for you is My Life as a White Trash Zombie, and it's pretty much as the title implies. This is the life of a white trash girl. She becomes a zombie after a car accident. She takes a job as a coroner's assistant, and it's just all sorts of weird, often funny shenanigans that happen in this book, and it's a really great read. Plus, look at the awesome cover. So the next book in my spooky recommendation for you is Graveyard Shift. So this is one of my favorite indie reads. So this story is about Lana Harvey. She is a Reaper and she works for the Grim Reaper, obviously. And this world, most of this is after people have died, and she's helping them to get to the correct afterlife. So all of the afterlives are kind of combined in this city of the dead, basically. And although it's not necessarily creepy, there are a lot of like spooky elements to it. There's ghosts, afterlife, and so many other interesting things that go along with this. So the next book in my spooky recommendation for you is Envy of Angels. This is a really interesting story. It's about a catering company, but they don't cater to humans. They cater to supernatural, so demons, angels, whatever comes their way. And it's kind of funny and also really creepy, and it's just an interesting book, and it's got a really cool cover, and it was kind of a cover buy for me, but it's a really good and really kind of creepy book. So if you like cooking and books that are slightly creepy, this would be a really good one for you guys to try. And the next book in my spooky recommendation for you is Alice. So this is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and it's really creepy and also really interesting. So this book starts out with Alice in a mental hospital, and she escapes with another inmate, and it's just their adventures through this really creepy and dark city while they try to find the White Rabbit, and it's just really good and it's really creepy, and I would not recommend for younger readers probably, but it's really good. And all of our favorite characters that we know and love from Alice in Wonderland are in this book in a slightly creepier and dangerous way than they were in the Alice in Wonderland that we know and love. And this was kind of disturbing, but it's really good read. So the next book I have for you in my spooky recommendations is Carney Punk. So this is an anthology of short stories by some of my favorite urban fantasy authors, and all of these stories are kind of set in carnivals or circuses, and they are really creepy and disturbing and dark, but also very interesting and creepy in a good way, if creepy can be good in any way, really. So there's 9 short stories in here, all of them equally creepy and disturbing. So the next book in my spooky book recommendations for you is Black Magic Woman. This book is super creepy and dark and just really good. So this one revolves around a supernatural investigator, and there's a deadly curse that dates back to the Salem witch trials in this book. And there's black magic running around, and there's curses, and just a wild journey from one side of the country to the other. And I highly recommend this one if you're looking for something that's dark and filled with magic and just a great road trip novel. So the next book that I have for you in my spooky book recommendation is Midnight Crossroads. So if anybody is familiar with Midnight Texas on NBC that just ended a while ago, this is the book that it's based on, and this book is slightly creepy, but in a good way. So everybody in the teeny tiny town of Midnight is looking to hide, and whether they're humans or supernaturals, they're all just looking for somewhere to lay low and go about their business. And Midnight is a very creepy place. There's demons that pass through, there's vampires, witches, and all sorts of really cool, creepy stuff. And I believe this book is a crossroads for a lot of Charlaine Harris's other novels. So there's characters that come from many of her different books, or they have connections to characters from other books, and it's just really interesting. And I kind of like this slightly creepy vibe that this gives off, and I can't wait to get my hands on the next couple of books. And last but certainly not least in my spooky book recommendations is the Welcome to Night Vale novel. So the Welcome to Night Vale novel is creepy, weird, and just full of interesting characters like the Hooded Figures, the Glow Cloud, and Hiram McDaniels, the literal 5-headed dragon. Night Vale is basically every conspiracy theory thrown together, and it's just really good. And this novel by itself is wonderful, but if you pair this with the podcast, it's truly amazing. So Night Vale is absurd and kind of magical and strange and weird and creepy, all mixed together into this one small desert town with these weird people and weird shit that happens every day, and it's all treated as normal. And it's just seriously such an amazing book that I could not recommend this enough. Alright guys, so that's all I've got for you today. These are my 10 spooky reads for you, and I hope you enjoy them. They are some of my absolute favorites when it comes to spooky, creepy, weird novels. And if you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And you can also hit the notification button to get notifications when I post. And if you'd like, you can follow me on Instagram and Goodreads. I post book reviews a couple of times a week on both. What are your guys' favorite spooky reads? Let me know down in the comments. Alrighty, bye guys, and happy Halloween. Bye! It's interesting. Holy shit! Yep. One of my books fell over.